go. I have your drawing on the right and the original which you come from. So the first and most important thing, what you were doing, you were trying to arrange your graph, your grid, like this, by trying to match his return. This is impossible. You never do that. The only thing which you always do is grid is always vertical and horizontal, which means we're going to take this, let's make it a little smaller, and then you do it always vertical. So let's say this is the outmost point. We're going to draw the line. It's always vertical and horizontal. The outmost bone right here, we're going to do that.
Right.
The outmost bone here, the same bone, right? From here to here is here. The most outside. Okay? Then we'll say, let's say this is the tip of the nose.
Right.
Okay? That is the tip of the lip, right? Right?
Right.
And then let's do something else. Let's do the bottom of the mouse, just for now. And then let's say the corner here, the bottom. Okay, let's say the left bottom of the chin. Okay? Now, what we see vertically, so our choices were absolutely visually driven, right? What we see, that's what we take into account. Has nothing to do with the reality of the form, the position of it in space, or foreshortening of it, right? So what's visible again here is like, I can see right here the edge of his eye, the bottom, the teardrop, right? So I'm going to use that vertical. And another thing I see is, let's say, the center of his nose, right? Right here, right? Well, let's do that. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Let's do that. Yes. And I wouldn't do anything yet here. So what we're going to do now, we're going to repeat the same things on the left-hand side just to be sure that we can connect. So the outmost top point, right? Starting here, right? The next one is the outside bone here, right? So I'm following the same procedure we've done on the left. The next one is outside the same bone across the head right here, right? The next one, vertical, we said we see the edge of the tip of the eye, right there, right? We're gonna drop that vertical. Okay? Then the next one, we see the center of the nose. Agreed? We'll drop that one. And that was it. So then the horizontals which we see again was the one which was the very top of his mouth, right?
The top of his mouth, right?
Yeah, that's what we see again. Forget what it really is. It's what's visible. And then this was the lower tip of his mouth. Agreed?
Right.
That's what was on the left. And then the very corner of the bone of the chin going down. Okay?
Right.
So, looking at this right away, you can see that you are extremely close. So this is the idea behind making the grid. So you do the grid always vertical against horizontal. You never do any diagonals.
Right.
And this is, this allows you to see basically proportions of the piece in relationship to each other, to itself, on an abstract level. Okay? So you can see that you are, I would say, the only thing we forgot the tip of the nose. Right? So, the only thing, you can see right away the mistakes which are obvious. And this helps you, again, abstract level to observe. Let's make another layer here just to be sure that we're not screwing it over. So on the layer here, we're going to zoom on this, and we're going to zoom here. So we're looking at the same corner, right? And I want you to look at a very simple, let's take something very ugly color-wise. Yeah, yellow. So first, the angle of the eye and the position of the eye against the nose. So your eye is below, his eye is above. See that? So the position of the eye, right? So your eye is below here, his eye is above there.
Simon.
Yes.
I think I saw the nose as going on that line above where yours is. You see where yours is? I made the line above it, just above it. You see, above it.
I understand. No, we are not discussing what you did right or what you did wrong. I'm explaining only reasons why and what do we do when we do this. Okay?
Right. Yep.
So don't worry about this. This is just an illustration which shows you how easy it's, how easy to compare and find things which we need to find. What I want you to realize, this is two things separately. The grid, which is on the left and the right, is only to help you to observe abstract proportions, okay?
Yeah.
If you look at the angle of the eye in relationship to the vertical, because if you start making diagonal lines like this.
No, I did,
yeah.
Let me tell you what I did.
Yeah.
I took a straight line from his forehead through his nose, through his lip, right?
Like this one. The line like this one.
Yeah, but I did it on the what I did was I calculated how many degrees to the...
Stop it right there. This is what you did. See that?
And I calculated how many degrees it was.
Wrong. You see, that's what you did. This is impossible to follow because this is representation of depth, and we never measure depth diagonally. Remember, you're the sculptor. Depth.
Listen to me for a minute. If I turn the whole picture of that you sent me, and I made that the up and down, then I have the same thing, except I can see the plane of his eyes.
I know. Okay, let me show you what you just said. So what you were doing is trying to
rotate, right?
Control D. I want this. That's what you were doing. Rotating this. Control Z. So you basically try to rotate that to fit this. But I don't want you to ever do that, especially getting into the calculations of...
I could show you what I did.
No, don't.
You don't want it. Okay.
No, don't waste your time, because what I want you to do... Computer has so much material. It's just, it wants us to wait a little. So what I want you to start doing is... Oh, no, don't tell me. Okay. What I want you to understand, there are two separate things. One is making this rectangular but free-floating vertical and horizontal lines, which
Right.
are aligning only visible points, so you can see the angles against those, so you don't have to calculate anything. So you actually can see the angles, it's like what this angle of this yellow line, visually. You don't have to calculate anything. Because when this computer will wake up, it's doing something. I don't understand why. But, oh God.
Hmm.
Because what I want you to understand is, let me, I don't want to quit it. Control new. Doesn't do file. Wow. Okay, let's say we're done with this session. We're just going to quit that.
Okay.
And we're going to start new Photoshop. And that will, and I'll show you what you need to understand in order to do that. No. Yes, that one. So this is what you, because we are doing it first time, that's why it's not quite clean. So, no. That's why we have a little time gaps. Okay. So what's important here for us to understand, and for you next time to draw. So we're done with the discussion of how to use the grid, okay? Because
Yeah.
grid is only for you to see the angles. Like for example, if I take this head, make another layer on it, and so I'll take the red again, and I'll show you a simple example. So it's like this. So you take a red line and you drop this. It's a line, okay? You drop this red line here, right? And then you can see that against this line, the angle for the eyes are going this way, right? And then
Right.
when you've done that, you see, oh, the eyes are actually like this.
Right.
So it's only for that. The only reason you can see it, that you have that vertical line against which you can measure all those angles. But you cannot measure that except visually. So you don't rely on this. You only rely on this. You have this, and then you do something like that. Oh, okay, now I can see that this is that much lower than that, and that's what matters. You see that?
Yep.
So this kind of an abstract approach. But what I want you to start seeing, your eye is damn good. You're seeing, look at this drawing. It's very close. But the problem with that you are copying what you see instead of as a sculptor walking over the surface of this. When I'm saying walking over the surface, that what means, let me show you. That goes back again to the previous webinar when we were doing front and back. So the first thing you have to realize is the plate. Let's take the yellow because this is the front plate where the thing is front and then, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the front of the plane.
Mm-hmm.
On that plane, there are lips, right?
Mm-hmm.
See that? There are
Yeah.
two lips. They have thickness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then there is a nose on the same plane. Look, see that? Which
Mm-hmm.
goes all the way. This is the bottom of the nose.
Mm-hmm.
And then it gets to be, so if we're going to get rid of the bottom, and we're going to build that trapezoid going away from you, right? It goes away all the way in here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it has plane, which you can see,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you can see, oh, look at this. This is strange. This is invention. It doesn't really exist in human being, but he pushed that bone in front. So it doesn't matter. What matters for us is that it here on that plane, he sets the eye diagonally. See that?
Mm-hmm.
Which means, in our language, this point is closer than that point. So it goes away. This is the 45 degree I told you, right? So what's important, you see that ball sitting on that shelf, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you see that forehead thickness sitting on top of that. This is the thickness of that front of the head. This is the front. This is 3/4. And from here, it's all, let's go blue, it's all goes to the side. See that?
Yes.
This is side which we can't see. This is in our previous Photoshop drawing, remember? This is 3/4 plane.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So again, going to our yellow, going back to our yellow, bigger brush, bigger so we can fill it up much less. That's the front, which
Right.
matters for us. And the rest is not.
Mm-hmm.
So the going back to the blue, this is all shadows,
Mm-hmm.
all the way to the edge. See that edge?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to think like a sculptor. So all this are the bottoms, 90-degree turns. So when you draw the nose, now we're going to your drawing.
Yes.
So when you draw anything as you've done before, let's make it small so it's not as invasive. Let me see. Yeah. We'll make it red so it's clear. So when you draw, you have to think, okay, here's the front. So we mark the front. Okay. From the front, we're going all the way to the plate where we meet. So it's always two at the same time. See that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's the front. Now, on this, parallel to this front is going to be the nose, and it sits precisely on that plane. So if it's a middle, it means it's a middle to the left and right. Look at your nostrils. If you look at this original drawing, this illusion is because it's broken. You don't care what's broken, what's not. You have to draw what you know it's there. If this is here, then this is here. So that's the nostril, right? It sits in that plane of the side of the nose because this is the bottom, remember?
Right.
So this is the side, the flight of the nostril, right?
Mm-hmm.
The same goes for all this. What is all this beautiful design? How many colors you see here? No. What matters for you is that this is a round shape, rolls like that, going into, do you see it well?
Yeah, yeah.
You're going down into the mouse, and that's the round bottom of the top lip. How big is the lip? Look at this. This is how big is the lip. Look at that. See this? This lip rolls all the way around. All this is a lip. So the tiny bottom lip is just hangs here, like a little addition onto that plate. So again, this is all belongs to the upper lip. Look at that. You see that? Because he is the God. He invents his own shape. So you see how this now becomes the part of this big shape, right? Do you see it here? Do you see it here?
When I use my shading, I try to make that top lip look curling in. But of course, it has all the
okay, I understand. But you are trying to copy tonality of this drawing,
yes,
which is impossible. No, you have to treat this drawing. Let's hide this, and let's do that shading. Let's do another layer.
And I did curve it in.
No, listen, look. We're going to do this with the bigger pencil, and we're going to take black. So as a shading, we're going to take about a little percentage. Yeah. So we're going to even less. And we're going to take a different brush.
This is so interesting.
What?
It's so.
What did you say? It's so what?
Interesting.
Oh, good. So 90, it's too big. Okay. Okay. So instead of mushing with this one and third layer, okay, what you should do, you have to decide, okay, let's say we're going to accept the fact that light from the left, which means this is all in a shadow, end of the story. Boom, done. The next thing we have to decide, oh yeah, if this is light from the left, this is receiving the light, but this is not. Look at his left again. This is in the shadow. Then you see the light, and then the front, all the front, which we decide is the front, does not get the light. All this is a bottom, forget it, it's all in the shadow. That we have to be consistent. If it's this here, it's definitely here the same, right? This belongs to this. This belongs to that, right? Look at this now. Is that clear? Now, the next step, we have to decide if this light is from here, we're going to make it all, I'm going to use the white because you have the gray in there. So I'm going to use some white. So we're going to clear it all this white, and we're going to make it clearer for us. There is no way that's on the bottom you're going to have, there's no way on the bottom you're going to have the light here. So it's all gray. This is all gray. Like I said, all this is covered, right? So now, inside of this, every volume here going to be its own game of lights and darks. But look at this. Is that clearly readable form to begin with?
Yes.
So we're going to clear it all out. So we're not discussing any half tones. We're just making it all. Those are decisions you're making because you have to. Now we're going back to the gray. This is the front. Okay? Now we have to decide. If we decided that the left is the source of light, it means that everything on the right side is going to be darker than on the left side. So we're going to go again and cover all this together. It's just logic, you see? We're doubling on what we had before because we're making this thing on the left darker than before. You see that?
I see it.
Now we can start editing by saying, Okay, it's all cool, but it's not quite clear like this. It's more detailed. And let's say there's a light here. White on a layer right here, rust. Why we're not drawing? Okay. So we go to the black, and inside of this black, okay. Again, machine is waiting on me. So, does that make any sense to you?
It totally does. Could I ask a question?
Should.
Would you use your charcoal in big blocks like that?
Absolutely. I would put it on a side and cover it up.
Really?
Yes. There are a couple things you can do, by the way. You can use a grade paper, like a gray paper.
Right.
So it already gives you half tone, so you already have this kind of tonality in there.
Right.
Right? So you have this gray already there. Or you can use white paper and you can just simply open it up with big, like this.
Right. Oh, yeah. Because that's drawing. And what I do is copy.
Of course, you copying. Don't underestimate what you've been doing, because what you've been doing, you've been training your eye to see what is actually in front of you without getting too smart. Okay? So after you train your eye so you can react, then when you're looking at the shape, you can say, okay, well, that's great, but it's actually the nose, which means if it's a nose, it has a structure. If it has a structure, this is going to be, why it's not drawing? This is white, it's layer here. No, we don't need that. Background layer here, layer. So white. So this is, what's the size of, okay. Sorry. This is white, right? This is going to be white. And this white's going to sculpt you the way it goes, but you have to be careful. See, like here right now, you can see that this is too bright, right?
Right.
So the minute it's too bright, you go back and you quiet this down. You quiet this down and you get it back in order, right? It's lighter, but not as much. Then you can, inside, you can say, oh, there's a light on the eye. Yes, it is a light on the eye, but it's very faint. It's very, very faint.
Would you do this with an eraser?
You can use eraser or you can use the charcoal. But when you do eraser, you draw the lights out. You don't fix shapes. Another thing which I would recommend from now on is when you draw those kind of lines, they're no good. What I would like you to do is to draw, let's take a different brush so it's easier for you to see. Yeah. So when you draw the line, I want your lines from now on, instead of this line, let me zoom on it. Instead of this line, I want the line like this. You see that? Which means when you draw that corner, your line looks like this. So they are much more straight rather than round. Because making this round is piece of cake. You just come in with a eraser or something and you just make it a little lighter, right? See that? But making the round sturdy, very difficult. Because if you look at this again, and we're going to go on that layer, another layer. No, Control Z. I'm going to go another layer. Yeah. And if you draw the white, look at this. It's a straight line. And then it breaks down. And then this breaks down here, but on the slight different angle, if you look carefully. See that? And then it does this. See that? But then this comes from here all the way to here, right? then here, then here, then again parallel to here, boom, and then back to this point on other side. Do you see that?
Are you saying that I should not make these curves?
You should not. You should stop making curves.
Okay.
You should only follow the places where things start turning. Where they turn and change the direction, that's where your straight line stops. So look at this. From here to here, to here, to here, to there. That's the plane of the nose. Because his nose is broken, remember?
Mm-hmm.
So this is how you draw. Look at this. Corner, 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 corner. That's the whole plane, right?
Oh, that's so wonderful.
Look. See that? So in
Yes.
here you're realizing, oh, this is very complex plane going away from me like this. And then that meets this plane, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're realizing that there is something going on, and that's where the compound curve comes in, because there is two different planes additional to the ones you had in the beginning. Because in the beginning, we had just two planes, remember? This and that.
Mm-hmm.
Not here. It's much more complicated. So when you start looking at these things, then you're realizing that, of course, this is obvious. And ability for you to see where the corner starts and ends allows you to see those shapes. Look at this. This sits on that. Come on, Z. Look at that jowls.
Mm-hmm.
See that?
Yep.
All this is on top of that plate. This is the plate.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed? You agree with that?
I understand.
Okay, so this is the approach for anything, and this particular site, which I send you, and especially sculpture. There are a couple sculptures of the Michelangelo, and there are a couple sculptures of Rodin, and both of those sculptors are the gods of depth. So learning from them by simply providing yourself with a foreshortening, which is not as usual and clear, but very complex like this, and then in a way that you would never have ability to see the sculpture, allows you to look at this beauty of this, that you have a screenshot of it from which you draw, like we're doing right now. But at the same time, on the left-hand side, you can have the image, so you can constantly rotate it and see, okay, how complicated that nose is in profile. And you're realizing that all this depth from here to here is huge, but from here to here is very close. It's a very shallow head from the front to the back. But he has this enormous depth of the mask. So it's a miracle. I mean, it's just, I don't know how it works.
But can I just ask again? When I draw, I'm big into curves, and you're saying to draw from where the line changes.
Not the line, where the form changes direction.
Where the form changes direction, make a straight line.
Absolutely. Like this.
And how do you get the curves in afterwards?
Oh, very easy, very easy. So let's take this layer and hide the layer, and then we're going to take another one. Control Z. And we say, okay, let's say here's the corner, right?
So yeah.
And then you realize, oh, you know what, that's not quite. In the beginning it was like that. But then in reality it's much more complex. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
So now we're going to take the red, and we're going to curve that in. But your curves now are very different.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the quality of your curve.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's not just a no. It curves where it turns, right? So it curves very specific way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But in drawing, you would start off with
As big, as straight as you can.
okay, and because I do have the planes there.
Of course you do. They're just mushed up. So even if you look at your drawing and we take all those away, you do have them. But all this noise, it confuses you what's where.
Yes.
So you have to basically invent this in order for them to listen to you. So a
Yeah.
big decision where the lights are and where they are not.
You see, if I could do it this way,
Yes, you can.
it would be a beginning drawing rather than an excellent copy. I'm so good at copying.
Yeah, but I don't need your copy. I need your understanding of this. So you
That's
can turn around and sculpt this. The purpose of your drawing is not to reproduce what's already there, but to understand it to the quality of the ownership. So you can turn around and sculpt this thing out of your memory because you know it. That's the purpose of the drawing. You're learning it.
But what if what I also want is to render a lovely drawing, a drawing that one likes to look at?
There is no, this is a matter of opinion to begin with. Second, you can take your drawing on the left-hand side to the extent that there is no end to it. You can turn it to it's going to be looking more real than the drawing, than the photograph on the right. Because there is no end to this. Because you can come, let's say, cancel. You can come closer, right? You can take your black, you can take your different tonality, and let's say I'm going to start building this nose. So it's actually truly what it is. How's that for a nose?
Mm-hmm.
So there's no end to it. You can just take it as far as you want because it's just a matter of how far you can zoom on it and how much of the detail you want to bring into it. Because
the reason I sent it to you is I thought to myself, I could keep going forever.
absolutely, absolutely, it just gets tighter and tighter and tighter, and your details gets more pronounced, and your anatomy gets tighter. It's just there is no end to this kind of drawing. It's just a matter of how much time and how much detail you want to pull out of it.
But if I want to be able to do what I call an interesting drawing, which means that you like to look at it, right?
Yeah.
Do I still start the way you were just telling me with the blocks of color, shades, and then go further with the details?
I think so. Because it provides you with a bigger picture much faster. It doesn't tie you to the existing image. It gives you the right of the ownership, and it keeps you from the mistakes. Because if you look at the bigger scale of your head and his head, he's much, let's say, leaner than you. Your anatomy is a little too fat, a little too.
Yes.
It's like you puffed him from inside out. He is
Right.
very, very cornery. If you look at his corner here, like this, in here, look in here, and you are very puffy, and the bone is. Let me see. The bone is doing this, then it comes sharp down. See that?
Right, I do.
And then you can see the ear coming out from behind.
Right.
You see that? Then this bone came behind that, so let me open it up so you can see it. You see, there's much more space in his anatomy, look, than in yours.
Yeah.
Look, where is all this space in you? There's none of it. But here, he clearly shows this bone comes
Right.
here. That bone, the eye one, comes behind, right?
Yeah.
Then you can see that this went back from here, and this whole plane opens up of the lower jaw, and that's where you can see the ear lobe. I mean the end of the beginning of the ear, right? And then
Right.
that is attached the beginning of the ear lobe, and then from there comes ear lobe itself, and then the ear as is, and then you can see the hole in there. So there's a lot of understanding of the shape when you rather copying what you see.
Right.
It's like,
Right.
look in here. There's no eye in your drawing because look at that arch he has. Look at the thickness. Let's show. Look at that thickness of the eye he has in there. See that? And then on top of that, he has this absolute ramp of the thickness of the eye, which you can see.
Mm-hmm. So if I were, let me just back up. There's one way to draw so that you can then sculpt it, but there's I want to draw so that the drawing I do is a good drawing.
You have to realize why you're drawing and what is the definition of good drawing. To me, the good drawing is the one who is never, ever supposed to see after you've done it.
What do you mean?
The concept behind your thinking when you start drawing is the drawing you're about to make. Nobody will ever see it. You're going to destroy it after you do it.
Yes, okay.
That gives you a very different honesty, a relationship with the truth of production when you are keeping in mind that you want the good looking drawing which is pleasant to look at. I don't give a shit. You're drawing it only for one reason. So you're enjoying the process of learning what that is. And then you throw it away. You don't care. But the illusion of this lie, this misguiding concept that my drawing has to look nice so people can look at it actually disables you to truly draw. You're consciously never free to draw free because you always have the shadow of, oh, does it look beautiful or does it look nice? Is that a
But
pleasant
let me just
drawing?
correct you. It's not for anyone else, but I want to feel when I do a drawing, let's say a person I know, and I do it from a photo, I want to feel I like that drawing, not that anybody else could tell me that they like it.
Yeah, but your liking of the drawings, is that because it looks like photograph or you found something else?
It has to look better it has to be different, and it has to be better. If it's just like the photograph or I throw it away.
You have to understand for yourself that you are hunting for something in this photograph which is not there. You're looking for it. It's a hunt for something invisible. And by copying very nicely, what you see will never get you to this point. You have to get beyond the structure. Even right now, look at that drawing on the left. Look how structurally much more juicy, much more pronounced that drawing is. Look. And we didn't do anything except use it as an illustration to the point. Nothing else. So we didn't draw a drawing. We were using your drawing as an illustration to learn something about it. That's it. About the drawing, not about even the model. And this drawing got much better than the original. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Do you see this?
I do.
So,
I do.
So the question about the beauty of the drawing is a very vague statement. That's why I'm saying you draw it for a different reason. And this, again, ugly drawing is a proof for you. Look how ugly this drawing is. How ruthless, how muddy all this. And then as a result, you're looking at it and it's much better than we started with.
Okay, if I understand, oh, Simon, don't show me that. If I understand that and I continued, right, could I then go over what I did and create more of what I call a drawing?
Of course. You can take further, that's what you've done. And I would recommend to draw this head from both profiles, so it will tell you the story of the depth which you're dealing with when you're drawing it from the front.
You see, but what you did in creating these blocks of color that really represent what's forward, what's back, what's side, what's not lit, it makes a drawing, and mine is just...
Absolutely. That's why there's a difference between beautiful drawing and the working drawing. We making this drawing only for one reason, to figure it out. And I don't care if we're going to destroy it and nobody will ever remember this. That's all.
Okay. So can I ask you, could you send me this one that you just did?
That's going to cost you.
Study it. What?
That's going to cost you.
I pay anything.
Yeah, of course I will. I will send you. Do you have Photoshop?
Of course.
Okay. Okay, then you will be able to open both of these images as Photoshop files, so you're going to see all these layers in there as we did.
Oh God, Simon, this is so wonderful.
And this is going to have all this too.
Yes, because you see, this I see so clearly what I was simply not. Look at that. Look at that.
Good. Cool. So we'll have it saved and I will send you this drawings. No problem.
Okay. So now, Simon, I'm going to a big party and I'm not dressed.
Okay, go dress. And what I want you to do is 2 profiles from left and right.
Okay. I will do it.
Okay.
I will do it.
Enjoy the party, my dear.
Did I tell you lately that I love you?
No. Thank you,
Okay.
Thank you, my dear. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Bye-bye.